Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we've just seen a lot of it today. You know, EDG throwing the gauntlet first up, playing such a quick game. Then Supermassive saying, no, we can slow this pace down, and we were able to take it to you. Interested to see what the Clash's style is here.
All right, Ascension Gaming. Can they get a victory here? Can they find a win? First time at Worlds. What kind of results can they produce? Picks and bans have already started here against Pachessa here, Supermassive. And we're almost finished out as the jungle gets a bit of focus, as well as those assassins we've been seeing a lot on the ban list.
Yeah, and that's really interesting, right? Because you would think Akali, strongest assassin on the current patch, that would be something that G4 could be interested in picking up. However, already Supermassive has shown their response to that, so maybe a pivot coming in here at the last moment.
There's the Urgot getting taken out. A lot of versatility to the top lane for those laners coming into the World's play. Gragas will be locked in for Lloyd in the jungle to start things off for Ascension Gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, something that we have seen flex a little bit, but not necessarily in Rocky's wheelhouse, as we said. He's a little bit more aggressive. So I expect that one to go towards Lloyd. Doesn't really give much away in the current meta if you just do blind a jungler. However, there are some aggressive picks like the Olaf, like the Xin Zhao that we're seeing rise to popularity, and maybe Stomage goes towards that.
A lot of the Xin Zhao, we've been wondering kind of what will the pick be that doesn't get banned much but gets picked a lot. And he's definitely been on the list. Sion for some safe play in that top lane for Fabulous as one more pick here for Pachessa here, Supermassive, before they hand over the picks back to Ascension.
And Sion just interests me stylistically, because if there was going to be one tank that we saw a lot of, it would be the Ornn pickup for me, just because of the deadliness of that engage and the ability to couple it with something like Tahm Kench that we've seen used to great effect. However, Sion, a little bit more wave clear, a little bit more lane control, and something that Fabulous maybe not necessarily excelling on, but should be absolutely fine for him to take in this matchup.
Jungler for jungler, so do we get a top? Oh, now I think we do actually have our top, as Lloyd may be on a Gragas. We'll have to see how this one plays out, but that looks like what it could fall to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we already said that Lloyd just followed the Graves around Summoner's Rift. Back in, 2014 when Graves was a big AD carry, it was his favorite pickup. Now Graves obviously a jungler, so he takes that one into the jungle. Maybe G4 has to play a little bit of support here as well now, because we've got two AD carries.
Yeah, I mean, Lloyd himself used to be the marksman of the team, so why not put another marksman in his hands? AD carry there. One for GBM now, possibly. They could mix things up. But look, before that support, actually, so they do. They will not match this first phase of picks back and forth, unless that's a support Gragas.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, right now, Zeitnot is going to take a lot of attention, I think, because they've already locked in the Kai'Sa. I think the Varus is going to be hit immediately. We already saw his skill on that. Potentially, they take away the Ashe as well. Try and get the long-range lane bully and get Nixa a little bit more of a successful lane.
Absolutely. Against Zeitnot, this guy has had a CS lead in 28 out of his 32 games at 15 in his regular season. He did it to Hjarnan as well with a huge CS lead at 15 and 20, which was eventually caught up, but you're right. It has to be a focus on Zeitnot, or they have to get Nixa or something that can be protected. He's got that Kai'Sa. Can they protect it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big question for me, is how do they keep this safe? Because you can see already that they're not focusing out Zeitnot's champion pool. If this isn't a Varus ban, they can take an aggressive lane with a lot of CC. And we already said that Rich probably wants to roam in this matchup.
Absolutely.
We've already seen Zeitnot and Snowflower throw the gauntlet against Hjarnan and Wadid. They matched them top side of the map. They took the turret back. And I think that is a respect ban that needed to come through.
For sure. And correction for myself, that was 27 out of 35 games that he was in the lead at 15.
Ooh.
I was looking at something else as we get the Lucian in for Zeitnot, something very lane dominant. And with the Braum, Taster's Choice lock in there.
Yeah, there's kind of two ways that you win the laning phase, right? You outrange, you poke, you play it slow, or you just lock in the brawl-heavy Lucian Braum. And they really are just like looking to play from strength to strength right now. Such a potent mid-game comp put together.
Absolutely scary from Supermassive. We already saw him play quite quick in their first game, which is a victory. And now we will see the Cho'Gath to top side. We now definitely start to see this composition fill out a little bit more. Actually, I say top side. Could be a mid-Gath.
Yeah, potentially, or a support. Gragas?
We don't even know yet.
On?
Roll the dice. LeBlanc is on the board. That's a mid lane. It's Cho'Gath top, possibly that Gragas in the bot. So I say passively. I'm so with conviction here.
Yeah.
It could be. And now we will get the final pick for Supermassive. Hands are in the air for both of us. This is going to be an awesome game. We expected the champion pools to be quite a mix-up, and we're getting it.
Yeah, and I mean, that is just such a bold call to lock in your support Gragas as the first pickup, being able to have that flexibility in the draft. I don't really, like, there is such heavy skirmish potential, and it's going to come out, and we already mentioned the gauntlet that GBM's willing to throw. That is certainly one.
Interesting. Kind of definitely looking at early, have a little bit of wave clear for Supermassive, but if they hopefully don't lose control of the lanes, they could start getting pushed in on this. We see Rocky, we talk about that split push. Will he just be a menace on Cho'Gath on the side until and if his team needs him? Yeah,
and I think this is going to be the 17th unique pickup for GBM in the summer split. He just kind of plays a little bit of everything. Most played champion, of course, is going to be the Vladimir. Plays a lot of Xerath as well. But after that, it kind of falls away just into like every single champion in the game. And not going to be anything new here for GBM, taking a unique pick into this one.
And it's what we kind of wanted, right? We said, yeah, the Zillion's there. It's his pick. They were able to come out with the win, but it's not that aggression we see from him. GBM taking control of the game. It's that man. It's ganked by Mom. And you're probably going to get ganked by this Kassadin at some point in the game.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a little bit of a different feel for an assassin, right? Because Kassadin does need to get towards that 2-3 item mark. Probably needs the roller. Probably needs itself a Lich Bane. Maybe even the Zhonya's, depending on the state of the game. But there's one thing for certain. If it does get those items behind, if it does get rolling, unrivaled in the split push, a very good team fighter as well, and GBM will just be able to do everything on this pick.
I am excited. Should be explosive across the board. We're seeing a few teams here have their first chance at Worlds. Supermassive faring very well in their first game and finding a victory. Can Ascension get some ground under them here in their first game at Worlds? It is a daunting task. The nerves are at max. We've heard it from every player. And we even heard it from Blabber, a rookie coming in, which a lot of these teams, which are their first time here, also have those rookies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the stakes are even higher because already G2 have dropped a game. So if you can get that first game, if you can even out this group, means that it really will be anyone's game and can cement yourself as that opportunity to go through as a first seed, because we've already mentioned it. The best of 5 is going to be tough for the second seeds coming in to the play-in stages. So this is really do or die time almost already for Ascension to be able to make that mark.
All right, we are on to the Rift here for Game 4. Day 2 of play-ins. We will see as the team set up a line of scrimmage here, where eyes definitely focused on this mid lane. Electrocute G4 on that LeBlanc. We got a fleet on footwork on GBM for his Kassadin.
Yeah, a little bit more sustain in the lane, trying to keep himself topped off. And that makes a lot of sense. This is going to be a tough laning phase. Corrupting pot for auto-attack harass is just going to be persistent. There's not going to be many windows for GBM to trade back. He's gone with a shield as well, so teleport going to be important in this lane to keep himself topped up on that mana. Because I would have expected to see, you know, maybe go for the corrupting pot, time what Tonic stop and start and try and sustain through this lane.
Doesn't want to take the few hits and expect Lloyd's damage to come through, maybe. GBM to play it safe here. He did take an auto there from G4 as they head to lane. As I said, one we'll be focusing on. We'll keep an eye on the CS for Zeitnot to Nixar to make sure that is something that plays in favor of Ascension. They have to be able to take that as well. Nixar coming over, as we said, a former member of Gamut Gaming, a team also here at Worlds, has been able to do good things, add more versatility for the team than Lloyd did, but they still wanted Lloyd's veteran experience in the jungle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we've seen Lloyd since really the Bangkok Titans, the core that became Ascension, came onto the scene in 2014. They were able to make their run through IWCQ then and have a pretty successful tournament. So we'll see whether they're able to replicate that now at the play-in stage. And Lloyd is just one of those players that adds some aggression at the right moments of games, is willing to make that play that can win you the match.
And it's interesting too, because Lloyd's numbers were slightly better than Nixar's, but still, you kind of wanted that versatility that opens up the rest of the map from Nixar's champion pool.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for me was watching them at Rift Rivals, they didn't look like they have all that much direction. And I think that having the veterancy of G4 and Lloyd be that swing point of the mid-jungle duo just allows you to do that, especially with the fact that Cav is no longer with the team. So I think that, you know, it just adds some versatility to an otherwise maybe stagnant team at times.
Oops damage there for G4. But yeah, they definitely have a bit of that versatility as well. With the Gragas, they say this is a kill bot lane, and we will do that to the Lucian Braum. Zeitnot taking damage, heal comes out from him, and he'll stay safe. Great job by Snowflower to be the body block on the way in, but Snowmage is now ready for the undertow, and he's just there for a tit for tat. Heads back out, first gank from Lloyd.
Yeah, and that is so many summoner spells burnt. You can already see 3 from both of the bottom lanes. Just the heal remaining with the Ignite on Snowflower. But Lloyd also burned his. He's just willing to get in there very quickly, and that means that the return gank, especially if it is from Stomage, can have some big impact down here.
So now they have an idea, privy to that jungle knowledge. Again, proccing that electrocute as much as possible outside of that turret range for these further engages. And a quick call picked up by Zeitnot on that push back. So he's going to be go ahead and farming in lane, looking for a little of that extra gold as he builds up.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, it's just something that Lucian wants to continually be auto-attacking in the wave, so it will keep him reasonably topped up. I'm actually so surprised with how well GBM is doing in this lane. You can already see G4, no corrupting pot charges, whereas GBM's kind of just healthy enough to stick around here. Certainly knows something about the matchup. I do not. Going with that Doran shield start seems to be working.
And it feels like it'd be a little bit, obviously, in favor of G4 there. You're going to get pushed in, the wave will bounce, but he's been doing a great job at keeping that wave just off the turret, and G4 can't get a good bounce. See it push back now, and he will get it under his turret, but he's low on that health.
And I mean, that just means that G4 are going to have to look for a shop. GBM has the teleport to get back to wavy if he wants to. That additional sustain coming in of the fleet footwork, as you can see proc there, just seems to be helping him out so much. And Kassadin matchups are kind of measured by how many points you have to put in Q before you can start maxing the E. And right now, this seems to be a pretty good matchup, so wouldn't be surprised to see GBM start putting some points into that ability and get mobile around the map.
Yep, get a little mana refund, good to go. Keep himself topped off, so he'll know the back is there, kind of holding this. He'll compile the wave. Maybe they'll get some pressure on G4 as this comes out. And he'll actually back as well. He says, this is fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
I mean,
leave this
guarantees the freeze in the
Exactly.
mid lane. That's a very frustrating place for G4 to have to wave. Stomage going to look for his next back as well. So the map really right now favoring Supermassive. We mentioned, you know, the summoner spells used in the bottom lane, but the fact that the Ignite is still there for Snowflower leads me to think that there still might be some fireworks around the corner. There's no real answer right now on the map for Ascension.
It's hard. They don't have too much room to gank in the bot lane with where they're keeping it so far. A little more room, and they'll be able to chase Nikasar and Rich forever and get that kill finally. Looking at CS across the board, quite even, as there's been a little back and forth in each lane, but everybody's been able to back accordingly and get a first item. That's going to be Sork Boots for G4. He says, I want to make it sting right away to GBM there and get my movement around the map to make it count.
Yeah, maybe not happy with how the lane's going. A little bit strange from Loin to actually auto-attack that ward coming through. Now they certainly know that he's in that bottom lane, and it looked like Rich wanted the gank coming in. And I think that Supermassive's comp just has a little bit more of the punch in the mid game, given the fact that they've got the Lucian Braum, and that's a flash coming out of Fabulous. Whereas I would expect the Ascension lineup with the likes of the Kai'Sa, with the likes of the Graves, to scale a little bit better into this game. They will have a harder job of maybe starting up the team fights, but if they do get those picks, there is an opportunity to blow people up.
So I was the interesting lane of Gragas and Kai'Sa.
Hold that
Hold the wall, holding. No Ragnarok coming through. Level 5 Stone Mage. Chain goes out as they make sure he's tunneled into the choke point. Beautifully done. End of the line kill picked up by Lloyd. And now it's going to be Ascension inside Supermassive jungle. But Supermassive doesn't want any of this fight. And they're going to start backing off. Unbreakable used by Snowflower. This could be the catch here. Body slam into him. They're picking up more on the side of Ascension. And that one's over to G4 as they're able to just say, who wants this?
And that's exactly what we said, Riv. Bring the chaos. They chase Stomage into his jungle. It looks like they're on the wrong side of Summoner's Rift, but they're able to clean up the kills. And that is the early game start that Ascension needed.
Incredible. The boots pay off right away. That's going to feel good for G4 as he was out of lane, but he'll be able to pick up the CS as well. And Stomage now, jungle's a bit clear, does have actually red up, as they can see on a pink ward. It'll keep them privy to where he is. But they're trying to get it back now. They may force themselves as we see how this Ace of Predator replay came to be.
Yeah, and this is just G4's willingness to leave the wave. You can see that GBM wanted to go back and push that in. He didn't want the freeze against him because he had been laning so well. Good early rotation coming out of Nixar and Rich as well. I mean, we mentioned the wave positioning. Their wave is also on their turret. They're just sacking creeps at this stage to go hunt kills. Something that the Southeast Asian region has kind of always done. And once again, it just works. Like, you don't know why sometimes, but just group up, run into their jungle, and grab some kills.
It's the no, don't do that. Oh, okay. Okay, and they make it work. just feels comfortable for him to be kind of in that chaotic position, always pushing the team to their limits because it's where they feel comfortable.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to see, right? This is a team that has 20 kills per game. They're a very bloody team. And when we have a look at those kills, there's only 1.8 people involved in them. So this isn't like a team fight heavy team. This is like get 1 or 2 members to the fight, start looking for the solo out plays, look for those scrappy 3-on-3, 2-on-2 skirmishes. And I think that if Supermassive ever get 5 members on the same screen, they will be able to use that skill that we saw against G2. But if it ever gets that down and dirty style, that's just Ascension's wheelhouse.
It is. If you're like you're saying on Supermassive side, they're so slippery. Ragnarok, Kassadin flying around. Lucian's hard to catch. But everything's on Ascension's terms so far. Coming up on 9 minutes, even kind of tempting damage onto the blue buff. Stomage, level 7, still can't do much. The lane is even, and that's Nixars and Rich to kind of have aggression on. So G4 plays the nuisance game so far, and bot lane actually gets engaged. Remember, Sunflower gets his flash up and has to use it immediately as he actually gets cast backwards at the same time.
Yeah, and that was really well timed by Rich because you could see the door was just expiring. It would have knocked him backwards, but not going to be the case. Has to burn the summoner spell. And that's again just G4 leaving the mid lane, willing to be mobile on the assassin and exert some pressure, denies a blue buff from GBM, but also chunks out Stone Mage and keeps him aware of the positioning of the LeBlanc.
And that mid lane, something we did want to focus on. It's 72 to 83. GBM has not been leaving, but G4 has been able to pick up results around the map. Still feels good for a Kassadin to not have too much trouble in the early game, though.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I mean, if he's able to build towards that ticking time bomb status of the couple of items, still certainly a game that GBM can take over. And I think that's the reason why that G4 feels so pressured to make these plays. But the good thing so far is that they are working. He's able to get in their face. And I think that that's the trick. Keep the tempo high. Make sure that you're looking for your play. Do not play at Supermassive's tempo.
It's not, you can't say, hey, we've done enough. Now we can kind of relax.
Because that's kind of what happened with G2, right? They kind of looked like they had the first turret. They thought, you know, now we're in a position where our Tristana will be able to scale up. You know, we're going to be the team fight monsters. And Supermassive were kind of like, we've got a zillion. We're happy for this game to go the journey. We will play at your pace. And I think that if G2 had their time again, they would have been like, we needed to get Perks into a side lane. We needed to start trying to exploit that matchup. And, you know, got to really look to see whether Ascension can do that in this game.
And it's true. In their region, they were a team win fast, or kind of early leads, Baron, win fast, right? You're now kind of against other teams who had the same results, and you don't know how they play. So that early lead may get very much stalled out, as we're seeing here. Just about a 1,000 gold lead coming up on the scoreboard for Ascension as they continue to farm it out. And no lanes really even look like they're ready to break yet. There's been a lot of that action bot lane. But still, everything is standing pretty tall with healthy turrets.
Yeah, I think the one lane that you would look to be tipping over the edge right now for Supermassive is once again just the bottom lane. You can see already 30 CS up. There's a big wave here to be collected, but that is a cull that is about to be cashed in for Zeitnot. This was never a lane that was going to have heavy turret pressure, but once he does get that Blade of the Ruined King and boots, he's going to be at the power spike at this stage of the game, where really, if you are going to be the Kai'Sa, you're waiting a little bit longer for your item build to ramp up.
Definitely a big sting from Lucian before Kai'Sa hits that. Quick clears. Nicely done. He'll actually just be up in farm over that. Man, it's impressive to watch people farm. Like, different champions, you got to pull something out next, and you still have to have that top mechanical farm rate every time.
It's actually really relaxing. I love watching people last hit. Like, to clear a wave is satisfying, but to watch them last hit is actually just really relaxing. It's kind of therapeutic in how it happens.
But it can also be gut-wrenching.
Yeah, when they miss cannon crit. There's nothing worse.
Especially when you're hitting S and you're waiting. It looks like Lloyd is waiting to see what's going on around Dragon. Cloud Drake will be a little perturbed by this. Ooh, flash in. They're going to get big damage. Oh, Sunflower's unbreakable the wrong way as he's popped back. And they have been on him time and time again. His flash actually just came back up. They just have his number.
Yeah, they certainly do. And this is one of those things that I said, get Rich out of the laning phase. When he's roaming, when he's playmaking, you know, this is kind of a double jungle setup that we have right now between Lloyd and Rich. And time and time again, Snowflower's trying to rotate to the play, but he's just getting caught out there a little bit too far ahead of his team. And GBM just does not look like he wants to be fighting at this stage of the game. Yeah. G4's punishing him for that.
definitely not the time here where GBM wants to keep having himself pressured down to the bot side, pulled away from his lane, and it's going to start making a disparity in the CS now that's not in his favor. Teleport's there, but he'd probably rather use that to get to these fights that are in that bot lane. He can't chase G4 to.
And now you have one more back if you're GBM before you lose that turret. And if that goes over to the LeBlanc as well, that's going to be such a lead. 2-0 on 1, equal on CS. But once again, an earlier spiking carry.
Yeah.
So whilst they have some good late game insurance out of Lloyd, out of Nixar, it's not like this team comes on too late either. GBM goes forward.
Wants to fight himself, has the 1v1. Stomage kind of give him the false sense of security. Are they under the turret? Stomage not very tanky at this point, and they really can't heat that turret up.
And once again, that's a flash use from GBM. A little bit of miscommunication. It looked like Stomage wanted to get in there, wanted to continue that fight, but GBM had pieced out before it even really went down, and that's just another small advantage that Ascension is going to be able to play around in this mid lane.
What's next? What's Rocky and Fab Fabulous doing on their vacation island up top with Grasp? These guys haven't even really had too much trouble sharing just about the same CS. I think we haven't seen Fab Fabulous do an ultimate. That was the other game from today, but soon. I think we'll see something soon.
I think something's going to have to give for Supermassive because this isn't a game now that you can play out because mid lane turret's going to be broken pretty naturally.
Yeah,
that's going to open up things like Rift Herald. That's going to open up the skirmish capability of the LeBlanc, of the Grave. So I think that they're going to have to look to get Fab Fabulous out behind. And Rich just continually looking aggressive in this play.
Ooh, Ignite down, more hits to GBM, ticking down, and GBM is down. G4, can they pull the kill back up? He distorts to the top of lane, pulls out Ragnarok from Stormage.
And the 2v1 outplay out of G4, just no fear at all. Burns both summoner spells, gets his man, and he's gonna get first turret as well.
Ridiculous. They may even just give this gold to Lloyd, so that feels really good for him.
Lloyd is the luckiest man in the world. Like, I have never seen a mid laner do that. Every other mid laner in the world goes, go back to your jungle, I'll take the turret in my own time. This is me. But Lloyd just walks in there, one auto attack, and the skirmish potential of this lineup right now, they need to keep pushing this tempo. 2,000 gold in the lead. Continue to look for your plays. It just looks so damn good right now. I mean, you can see that what the idea is. GBM needs a recall, but they don't want the turret to go down. So he goes forward, thinks that he's safe enough, but with the summoner spells, able to pick it up.
Oh my word.
Is like, I have to trade. Otherwise, this turret is falling. And, I mean, sometimes you just got to sit back and think I got outplayed.
Look at that. Cheers from the coach's room for G4, and GBM feels the pressure. Having Stomage there, they didn't think anything would happen, but G4 is just on the money right now.
And I do want to actually play fight.
Rich, he's not feeling too good on the money. Rich going down, and it's going to be a teleport out of the bot lane. We wondered when they would come in, but actually going to be held off for now. That was from base, so Rocky can't get back to lane too fast either.
Yeah, exactly right. Going to have to walk that one out. However, Lloyd, big beneficiary again, just going to leech some more farm for himself. As now G4's here.
He got the shield, didn't want it. G4 backs off once again. 145 to 150 as GBM keeps up, but he's still looking to get something in the kill or assist column.
And this is what I was going to say. GBM doesn't lose the game gracefully, Rip. He is a I will win you the game or I will lose you the game kind of player. We saw it in the best of 5 that they played at the MSI play-ins. Really did get run over in that series. So he needs to start pumping the brakes. He needs to be able to farm up safely. So you're looking at Zeitnot, you're looking at Snowflower to be able to generate some pressure, be able to draw G4 towards that bottom lane. Because so far mid lane has not been the answer that Supermassive are looking for.
And it could be tough as well. We talked a little about that wave clear for the side of Supermassive. As Ascension starts throwing waves in on each lane, it's going to be very hard to push anything back unless you have Zeitnot there. Looks like Rift Herald's going to be tempted, but they just walk this one around. Shelly's going for a long watch on the beach here.
Yeah, exactly. Shelly seems to have a really short fuse at the moment. She just follows you wherever she wants. And once again, we see that Supermassive, after that turret goes down, willing to flip the map, willing to play towards the top objective. There is going to be a mountain trade coming up, however, which would help the Essential lineup out. So I don't think they're going to be too worried about this one. It is only going to be an equalized turret. And I think the game right now is just being played on their term, and Supermassive, you know, with the earlier game carries, probably needs to look to start getting Zeitnot and Snowflower involved in some 3v3s, 4v4s. So that's probably why they want to swap around this Rift Herald right now and try and force that tempo.
I think you're right. As much as the early game really looked like, because it was 4-0 at one point, no kills onto Ascension. Supermassive has the gold even by just 1,000. They take this, a turret, and they are right back in it. Stomage now into G4, and this could be how it happened. G4 is the one to start off the fights, not get the fight started onto him. But Nixor's there with Killer Instinct, and they'll stop this one in its tracks. Stomage gets the Ignite down, and they may be able to follow through the fight. Kill pressure's gone from G4, and they lose Rich on the side of Ascension. Support going in, that's going to be Snowflower getting the first tag on. Winter's Bite locks down G4.
And
that's Nikasar.
Force from Ascension that probably didn't need to be there. And a fantastic rotation coming in out of Fabulous. As soon as the Scion train arrived at the station, that team fight turned on its head, and they gave the kill over to GBM. Not the member that you want to get rolling at this stage of the game.
He waited. Patience is key. It's a virtue. And actually, Ascension felt way too powerful for where they were currently in the game. Stomage now going to take Dragon, so they get a mountain off of this as well. And we'll see G4 just going a little too hard here.
Yeah, exactly right. And he got caught out of position, gets collapsed on. The rest of the team is focusing around that objective. And the big thing is there's no teleport on Zion right now, so they're like, we can fight. But if you get the fight towards the mid lane, you can see how quickly he closes that gap. And he's just occupying, you know, 3 members on the backside of the team fight. And that is just not where Ascension want to be at this stage of the game.
That one fight they were able to activate after G4 made a mistake. Still wants to clear it, says, I need this wave gone. I need to be able to roam, help my team. Already top towards Rift Herald Den. Is a little bit of action once again, and Snowflower just warding and keeping himself safe from Rich.
And GBM really not concerned about the pace of this game, Riv. He goes back, he gets himself a tier. He's like, I'm happy for this game to go for an eternity. Like, I haven't even started stacking my items yet. This isn't going to be an aggressive 3-item Kassadin. This is going to be, you know, the late game Kassadin that we see come on.
This actually makes me recall hearing GBM in old comms of, we're okay, it's okay, we're okay. Just, he's very, very calm in his demeanor. And I can exactly hear that from him right now in this game, just letting everybody know, not doing too bad, we'll be fine, just like the Zillion game earlier.
Yeah, the old school Scaling caught G4 out a little bit here, will force him back. And one more time, we're just seeing this aggressive farm-heavy style of Lloyd not really bear any result around the skirmishes like it was early game. They haven't been able to catch anyone out. And that means that the gold lead has slowly just been clawed back, and it's back to even now for Supermassive.
It's crazy.
They seem to be online.
Zeit not wanting a little fight there, but he gets a quick drink under the table from Rich's barrel, and then nothing coming into the top lane just yet. Slight lead here as Rocky starts to chomp down on minions, becoming a little bit bigger than Fabulous, but both able to provide that giant tank in fights.
And look at Zeitnot right now. He is a completed item ahead of his counterpart in Nixar. He's also 2 levels above him. I mean, sure, Nixar is a low econ 80 carry, but 2 levels in an item at 21 minutes isn't low econ. That is just irrelevant in the team fight. And this is where Supermassive can start really putting the screws in. Top lane turret goes down. You can see bottom lane turret, one they prepared earlier, and neither team really has the best wave clear to be able to stop the pushes coming in if they get rolling.
Like looking at the other side too, as we saw Ascension in the lead, if it falls back onto them, as you said, they cannot clear that well, especially if either team has Baron. Just looking at that Zeitnot build, the Maw in there to stop the 3-0-1 G4, to shut down Nixor if he is charged up in these fights on that Rage Blade. Already being able to throw down a little mitigation with your damage has to feel great for Zeitnot.
And he's just trusting Snowflower to get in between him and Lloyd, because Graves is one of the most unique champions that if you just stand in front of him, he does no damage to the people behind him, you know, with the collateral damage, with the auto attack. So he's really empowering Snowflower, and the rest of the damage is going to be coming out of the the Ascension lineup right now is purely magic. So I like the adaptation that he's gone for here. The passive is going to provide all really the attack speed that he needs. And this is now Zeitnot's game one more time to be able to win.
Slow going on the bot side. Doesn't look like they're actually going to get anything. As Fabulous uses his ult to get out. Lloyd was just thinking about something bot side here. Is Ascension now kind of milling about their own jungle?
And they look confused.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good way to put it.
And this is what I was going to say. You know, when they do create the chaos, when they're able to pull you into the fight, they look like they have control of the game. It looks like it's being played on their terms. But when the game started to slow down, much like last game actually, it looks like the superior team fighting team is just making the right decision.
Yeah.
And now that they have, you know, the ease of execution through the Scion ultimate, as well as the stronger AD carry at this stage of the game in Zeitnot, there's no real answer for Ascension to be able to throw at that duo. So they're being kept in lane, they're being kept farming, and now the game becomes whether they can execute on that 5v5, which historically has not been the strength of the Southeast Asian core.
Nope. And this was the question I kind of had for a lot of the teams that came in so strong in their regions is were they challenged in that game, or the play style of Ascension to say, hey, we have such early game leads, nobody really challenges up at first Baron, 20, 23, 24 minutes, and you obviously get some inhibitors or second tiers off that. Not the case whatsoever, and the confusion you're talking about is kind of apparent everywhere as they roam looking for a little bit of push here for G4 top.
And the other thing I love to watch is, can you make another team that is also the best at what they do play your style? Because it's one thing to be able to do it in your region, it's one thing to be able to speed up the tempo or look for your team.
Can you Gigabyte Marines them?
Yeah, exactly right. And that's why Gigabyte Marines were so special, because they did that to teams.
Yeah. They could do it to SKT for the beginning of the game until SKT became SKT again. But
yeah, absolutely.
That playstyle is amazing, as you said.
Where does it end? Like, how do the superior teams, you know, the control teams, put a stop to that and say, you know what, no, we're not playing the game on your terms. This is how we like to play League of Legends. This is why we're so successful. And not only against Ascension, but against G2. That is what Supermassive has done. They've just imposed their will on the game and said the game is going to be played in this way.
Yeah.
And that is very impressive from the TCL team.
It's that good defense is a great offense.
Yeah.
And it's definitely working out for Supermassive here as they're able to put up a wall and now start to push back. Put a little bit of momentum in their favor. 25 minutes on that clock with Cloud Drake coming up in just 14. Supermassive now in the lead after a rough early game at 1 point, 4-0 in favor of Ascension, and Supermassive still respecting the fights.
And you can just see, Ascension are like, just fight us, step forward. Why are you running away? Stop being cowards. And gang my mom's just in top lane saying, you know what, I'll take another turret for myself. Windbreak, I don't really care about that one. I'm a Cassin and I hop everywhere. Running doesn't really do anything for me. And that is trading a gold objective on a scaling composition. So, you know, the Drake at this stage of the game. So unless it really comes down to a Baron force, I just don't see Supermassive really engaging with this Ascension lineup.
And really, the Baron force for either side, who do you give that fight to at this point?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you would say is that Rocky's secure at level 16 is going to be unrivaled. So at least then, Supermassive have to come into the pit.
Don't get the 50-50.
Yeah, but then you get the coin flip of the fight as opposed to the steal. So I would be really interested, as GBM is about to go back, pick himself up, you know, that Zhonya's hourglass, whether he is yet at the stage or whether I have to wait for level 16 for him to really be able to partake in these 5v5 team fights.
Void Staff quite fast on top of more penetration with the Ord for G4 to say, thanks for buying a Mal Mortius first. Zeitnot, he still wants to kill the squishies. Snowflower's protecting the heck out of Zeitnot. We've seen Stomage really trailing GBM.
And I think that was the difference in the early game towards the mid game. They were able to pick off Snowflower, they caught him out of position. Since he's calmed down, since he's had a little bit more awareness where it is on the map, the game has been much better. Stomage now might have to burn the ulti. No, not even going to be there.
G4 is doing a great job at these little hits that would change your mind in taking a fight, but it seems like Supermassive is really doing a great job at acting.
Lloyd might be in some trouble here, Riv.
Ooh, no hit on Baron. They're not going to activate it. Great blocks by Snowflower. Glacial Fisher misses. Sneakosaur's over the wall. Still has all of his summoners up. Rocky's going right in the middle of the fight. Puts himself in the frying pan. Stonemage makes it out alive. Rocky's going to get cut down.
And that
shot's going over to
the
GBM.
tankiest member, and they're going to look to continue the fight here.
Quick slow, decimated onto Lloyd. The Q coming out, and a double kill for GBM.
And this is a guy that we said you don't want to give kills to. He is on the scaling mid laner. G4 looking for something.
One time, that's all he can do is the in and the out. The team really doesn't have a lot of follow-up on what G4 is doing either, so it's all realized by Supermassive. They can kind of position themselves to make sure G4 can't do it more than once. And now he's forced to sit back, so is the rest of Ascension. And a half-health Baron at 28 minutes will fall to Supermassive.
Yeah, not even going to be a contest coming in there, and we already mentioned that the one way Ascension can force the team fight is around the Baron. Well, it looked like they had found a fight, but it certainly was not on their terms. Leech is caught out of position, had to burn key ultimates beforehand. And when you teleport into 5 members, I don't care how tanky you are, you will get cut down. And Rocky just did not last long at all. This was always going to be Supermassive's fight just because of how it started out. And the ability to chase through on the Kassadin, on the Scion, really did just continue the threat. Oof. And unfortunately for Ascension, the time seems to have run out. You know, that early game snowball that they kicked off is certainly not going to be enough now.
Supermassive feeling good. Have always been that team you see internationally, but never to the world stage. And here they seem to be quite confident in their play, in their style, and taking it a little longer than that early game aggression. They can really defend anything, and right now they are actually going through every turret that Ascension has on the map for the kills, for the fights, and they're gonna make it out 5 tall and take down second tier mid as well.
Stonemage's got the triple kill there somehow. GBM was hopping on everyone, was absolutely popping off on the level 16 Kassadin, and they're just gonna look to end the game.
Absolutely ridiculous. They took a few of the outer turrets, but they said it's all about mid lane now. Once they grab Baron at 27.5 minutes, they are gonna grab the game. More kills being put into their pockets before they get to the Nexus. Shots and fires from Zeitnot and Snowflower as they look to get the base in favor of Supermassive, who are now 2-0 in the play-ins.
And this is a scary lineup. Woo! The ability to just play slow, play controlled, and then when the game is on their favor, to just turn it on the flick of a switch and be able to close out a lineup like Ascension is certainly something that other members of the play-ins now needs to be very aware of. Supermassive has shown up to play.
Absolutely, and here's, I feel, how this continues to be measured is they have that ability. I feel like most teams that go very far in Worlds, the ability to keep their mental in check. This keeps your skill good. The question, though, is can the skill rise with the rest of the teams if they make it out of here? Because I believe their mentality gives them the chance to do that.
And that's the difference, right? We saw them play great best of ones at MSI, but then that mentality got tested in the best of 5. Well, today, GBM fell behind. That's not a news story for this team. However, he was able to just weather the storm and